When I heard the knock at the door, my heart jumped. My son had told me, "Mama, I'll come next week. I'll stay a few days." But in that moment, I thought maybe he had surprised me early. I wiped my hands on my apron, ran to the door, and opened it with the kind of smile only a mother can carry. But my smile froze. It wasn't him. A young man stood there, shoulders tense, eyes staring at me as if he knew me. My first thought was robbery. My second was mistake. But then he opened his mouth and said words that pierced me deeper than any knife. "You don't know me, but I know him. And I know you." My throat went dry. The house was silent, except for the ticking clock in the kitchen. I could barely whisper, "Who are you?" He didn't answer right away. He looked at me the way a child looks at candy he can't reach, longing mixed with fear. Then he said, "I'm sorry to show up like this, but I had to see you." I wanted to slam the door. I wanted to protect the little bubble of hope I had been saving for my son's visit. But something in this boy's face stopped me. His jawline, his eyes, even the way he stood. It was too familiar. It was like looking at a shadow of my son, only younger. I stepped back, my voice trembling. "Come in." He walked in slowly, as if stepping into a sacred place. I noticed his shoes were worn, his jacket frayed. He sat at the edge of the couch, nervous, hands clasped together. I stayed standing. Finally I said, "If you know my son, tell me how." He looked down before answering. "I'm his son." My knees almost gave out. The room spun. The words echoed in my head. "I'm his son." I gripped the chair to keep from falling. "That's impossible," I whispered. He never told me." The boy's eyes filled with pain. "I know. He doesn't talk about me. Or about my mother." I felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water over me. My son, my pride, my sacrifice, my only treasure, had kept a whole child hidden from me. The boy's voice cracked. "I just wanted to see you. I wanted to know if you're real. If family could be real." I stared at him, memories crashing down on me. I remembered the nights I worked double shifts, cleaning strangers' kitchens. I remembered pawning my wedding ring to pay my son's school fees. I remembered the empty chair at the table year after year, waiting for him to visit. And now, in my living room, sat the proof that he had built another life without me. I sank into the chair across from him. "What's your name?" "Daniel," he said softly. "Daniel," I repeated, tasting the word like it was both sweet and bitter. He pulled something from his pocket, a photograph. He handed it to me with trembling fingers. I looked down. A young woman holding a baby. The woman's smile was tired, but her eyes were kind. And the baby had my son's face. "That's my mother," Daniel said. "She raised me alone." He left before I could even speak his name. I clutched the photo, my hands shaking. Rage and sorrow tangled inside me. My son, the boy I raised through hunger, humiliation, and endless sacrifice, had become the kind of man who abandoned his own blood. I whispered, almost to myself, "Why did he hide you from me?" Daniel's eyes welled up. "Because he's ashamed. Or maybe he just doesn't care." Silence stretched between us, heavy as stone. Then Daniel said something that cut even deeper. "I thought, maybe you wouldn't want me either." My chest broke open. No child should ever have to say those words. I leaned forward, tears blurring my sight. "Don't say that. Don't ever say that. If you are his son, you are mine too." His lip trembled. For the first time he smiled, but it was small and broken. I sat back, holding the photograph, remembering every year of loneliness, every pinky phone call that ended too soon, every excuse my son made, business trips, deadlines, busy schedules, and now I knew the truth. It wasn't work that kept him away. It was lies. When I heard the knock at the door, my heart jumped. My son had told me, "Mama, I'll come next week. I'll stay a few days." But in that moment, I thought maybe he had surprised me early. I wiped my hands on my apron, ran to the door, and opened it with the kind of smile only a mother can carry. But my smile froze. It wasn't him. A young man stood there, shoulders tense, eyes staring at me as if he knew me. My first thought was robbery. My second was mistake. But then he opened his mouth and said words that pierced me deeper than any knife. "You don't know me, but I know him. And I know you." My throat went dry. The house was silent, except for the ticking clock in the kitchen. I could barely whisper, "Who are you?" He didn't answer right away. He looked at me the way a child looks at candy he can't reach, longing mixed with fear. Then he said, "I'm sorry to show up like this, but I had to see you." I wanted to slam the door. I wanted to protect the little bubble of hope I had been saving for my son's visit. But something in this boy's face stopped me. His jawline, his eyes, even the way he stood. It was too familiar. It was like looking at a shadow of my son, only younger. I stepped back, my voice trembling. "Come in." He walked in slowly, as if stepping into a sacred place. I noticed his shoes were worn, his jacket frayed. He sat at the edge of the couch, nervous, hands clasped together. I stayed standing. Finally I said, "If you know my son, tell me how." He looked down before answering. "I'm his son." My knees almost gave out. The room spun. The words echoed in my head. "I'm his son." I gripped the chair to keep from falling. "That's impossible," I whispered. He never told me." The boy's eyes filled with pain. "I know. He doesn't talk about me. Or about my mother." I felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water over me. My son, my pride, my sacrifice, my only treasure, had kept a whole child hidden from me. The boy's voice cracked. "I just wanted to see you. I wanted to know if you're real. If family could be real." I stared at him, memories crashing down on me. I remembered the nights I worked double shifts, cleaning strangers' kitchens. I remembered pawning my wedding ring to pay my son's school fees. I remembered the empty chair at the table year after year, waiting for him to visit. And now, in my living room, sat the proof that he had built another life without me. I sank into the chair across from him. "What's your name?" "Daniel," he said softly. "Daniel," I repeated, tasting the word like it was both sweet and bitter. He pulled something from his pocket, a photograph. He handed it to me with trembling fingers. I looked down. A young woman holding a baby. The woman's smile was tired, but her eyes were kind. And the baby had my son's face. "That's my mother," Daniel said. "She raised me alone." He left before I could even speak his name. I clutched the photo, my hands shaking. Rage and sorrow tangled inside me. My son, the boy I raised through hunger, humiliation, and endless sacrifice, had become the kind of man who abandoned his own blood. I whispered, almost to myself, "Why did he hide you from me?" Daniel's eyes welled up. "Because he's ashamed. Or maybe he just doesn't care." Silence stretched between us, heavy as stone. Then Daniel said something that cut even deeper. "I thought, maybe you wouldn't want me either." My chest broke open. No child should ever have to say those words. I leaned forward, tears blurring my sight. "Don't say that. Don't ever say that. If you are his son, you are mine too." His lip trembled. For the first time he smiled, but it was small and broken. I sat back, holding the photograph, remembering every year of loneliness, every pinky phone call that ended too soon, every excuse my son made, business trips, deadlines, busy schedules, and now I knew the truth. It wasn't work that kept him away. It was lies. I thought of the neighbors who used to whisper, "Your boy doesn't care about you." I defended him every time, saying, "He's just busy. Only special people stay busy. Only special people." But maybe they were right. Maybe I was the fool. I looked at Daniel again. He was so much like my son, yet softer, gentler. He didn't look at me with pity or annoyance. He looked at me with hunger, the hunger for love I had been starving for too. And that's when the pain turned into fire. I wasn't just shocked. I was angry. Angry at my son for stealing my chance to be a grandmother. Angry for keeping Daniel in the shadows. Angry for making me wait by the door for years while he built lies somewhere else. I wanted answers. I stood up and grabbed the phone. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped it. I dialed his number, my son's number, the same one I used to call on birthdays and holidays, the one that always went unanswered or to voicemail. This time he picked up. "Mama?" His voice came, casual, unbothered. My chest burned. I said, "Your son is here." Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then, his voice hard. "What are you talking about?" I snapped, "Don't lie to me. Daniel is here. He looks just like you. He has your eyes." On the other end, I heard him breathe fast, like he had been caught in a crime. "Mama, listen. It's complicated." "Complicated?" I shouted. "I worked my hands to the bone for you. I starved so you could eat. I waited years for you to come home, and all that time you were hiding your own child from me." His tone grew sharp. "You don't understand, Mama. That boy, it's not what you think. Don't let him fool you." "Fool me?" I barked. "Do you think I'm blind? Do you think I can't see my own blood standing in front of me?" "Mama, please, don't get involved. He's nothing to you." Those words stabbed me deeper than anything I had ever heard. Nothing to me. A child who carried my son's blood, who carried my family's name, who looked at me with the same hunger I had carried all my life. I lowered my voice, each word cutting like glass. "If he's nothing to you, then what does that make me? Was I nothing when I washed floors to pay for your dreams? Was I nothing when I begged God every night to protect you?" On the line, my son was silent. Daniel's eyes were wide, tears running down his face. I knew he heard every word. I wanted him to hear. I wanted him to know I would not hide him, not like his father. Finally, my son spoke, his voice cold. "Mama, if you let him stay, you will regret it. Don't choose him over me." I felt something shift inside me. For years, I had been his servant, his ATM, his doormat. I had begged for scraps of love, but in that moment, something broke. I looked at Daniel, at the boy who had been abandoned but still dared to hope, and I said into the phone, clear and strong, "If you won't choose him, then I will, because blood never lies." I hung up. My hand trembled, but my back was straight. For the first time, I felt like I was standing for something real. Daniel whispered, "Thank you." I walked to him and put my arms around him. His body shook against mine, and I felt years of loneliness melt away. No, he wasn't the son I had been waiting for. He was the grandson I never knew I had, and in that moment, I realized something powerful. I didn't need to wait for love at the door anymore. Love had found me. And to you who are listening now, I'm glad you're here. If you're watching this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Because this is only the beginning. When I hung up on my son, the silence in my house was heavier than ever. Daniel sat across from me, his hands twisting together, afraid to speak. I could still hear my son's voice in my head, sharp and cold. "Don't choose him over me." But hadn't he already chosen against me years ago? I stared at the phone on the table, my chest tight. For so long, that phone had been my lifeline, my only thread to him. I waited by it every birthday, every holiday, every Sunday afternoon. I jumped at every ring, praying it was him. And most times, it wasn't. Sometimes it rang with strangers offering bills I couldn't pay. Sometimes it rang with neighbors calling for favors. But rarely, almost never, did it ring with my son saying, "Mama, how are you?" I whispered to myself. All I ever did was wait. Daniel lifted his head. "Wait for what?" I gave a broken laugh. For your father, for scraps of love, for a visit that never came. And then, it all came back. The long years, the endless sacrifices. I had raised my son alone. His father walked out before his first birthday. I remember holding him in one arm while cleaning houses with the other. I remember counting coins for milk, crying in secret so he would never see. My body ached, but I told myself it was worth it. Every sacrifice was for his future. When he grew older, I worked double shifts to pay for his school trips. I washed dishes in restaurants, wiped tables, carried garbage bags bigger than me. My hands cracked, my back bent, but I told myself, one day he'll remember. One day he'll thank me. And when he got into college, I sold the only gold I had, my mother's earrings. I remember standing at the pawn shop, watching them disappear across the counter, telling myself it was just metal, but deep down, it felt like giving away my last memory of my own mother. Still, I told myself, he'll succeed, he'll love me for this. But as the years passed, something changed. His visits grew shorter, his tone grew sharper. He rushed through phone calls, always saying, "Mama, I'm busy." I defended him to everyone. Neighbors whispered, "Your son doesn't care about you." I smiled and said, "He's just busy. Only special people stay busy. Only special people." I believed it. I needed to believe it, because if I didn't, then all my sacrifices were for nothing. I looked at Daniel and saw my own pain mirrored in his eyes. He too had been waiting for a father who never came, waiting for a call that never rang, waiting for love that was always promised but never given. I said quietly, "We've both been waiting for the same man." Daniel frowned. "But why? Why did you still defend him? Didn't it hurt?" I closed my eyes. It hurt every day. But a mother's love is blind. I thought if I kept waiting, if I kept giving, he would see my worth. I thought love could earn love in return. Daniel shook his head. I waited for him too. I used to stand at the window every Saturday, hoping maybe he would come. My mom used to tell me, "Don't wait, Daniel, don't wait." But I couldn't stop. I thought maybe one day he'd remember I was his son. Hearing that broke something in me, because it was the same wound, just passed from me to him. My waiting had turned into his waiting. My pain had become his inheritance. I leaned forward, my voice trembling. "Daniel, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve to live hungry for love that should have been yours from the start." His eyes filled with tears. "Neither did you." The room went quiet, and I felt the weight of every empty year pressing down on me. I remembered the humiliations I endured, like the time I went to his graduation with a dress borrowed from a neighbor because I couldn't afford one of my own. I clapped louder than anyone, tears running down me. I face, while he barely looked at me. I told myself, "It's fine. He's nervous. He's with his friends." But in my heart I knew. He was ashamed of me. I remembered the time I showed up at his apartment unannounced, carrying food I had cooked. He opened the door halfway, blocking me from entering, whispering, "Not now, Mama. I have people over." I stood there, holding that pot of food, watching the door close in my face. I went home and ate alone. And still, I waited. Still, I told myself love could be earned if I just held on long enough. But now, with Daniel sitting here, I saw the truth I had been too afraid to admit. My waiting was not loyalty, it was slavery. I had chained myself to a hope that was never coming. I muttered under my breath, "I wasted so many years." Daniel shook his head quickly. "No, you didn't waste them. You gave him everything. It's him who wasted it. He wasted you. He wasted us." I looked at him, stunned at the strength in his voice. This boy, abandoned by his father, still had the courage to name the truth. Tears filled my eyes again. I should have stopped waiting a long time ago. Daniel's voice softened. "Maybe now. Maybe you don't have to wait anymore." The words hit me deep. Maybe he was right. Maybe waiting was over. But I couldn't erase the pain. It still burned, sharp and raw. I turned to Daniel. Do you know what hurts the most? It's not the years I worked, not the nights I went hungry, not even the humiliation. It's that he made me believe I wasn't enough. He made me think if I just gave a little more, he would love me. But he never did. Daniel's voice cracked. That's what he did to me too. I thought if I got good grades, if I stayed out of trouble, if I just proved myself, maybe he'd come back. But he never did. I reached across the table and took his hand. We were both fooled by the same lie. He squeezed my hand tight, his eyes fierce. Then let's not be fooled anymore. I nodded, my heart pounding. This was the turning point. The years of waiting had to end. I stood and walked to the window. Outside, the street was quiet. The world moved on, as it always had, while I had been stuck in the same place, frozen in hope. I whispered to myself, no more waiting. Daniel came to stand beside me. His reflection in the glass looked so much like my son, but softer, gentler. He asked, "What will you do now?" I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, I didn't know. All I knew was that I couldn't go back to the old me, the woman who defended lies, who swallowed humiliation, who lived for a phone call that never came. I turned to him and said firmly, I will stop waiting, I will start living, and I will not let him steal another day from me. Daniel's face broke into a shaky smile. Then maybe we can stop waiting together. I pulled him into a hug. His body shook with quiet sobs, and mine did too. It was as if two broken halves had finally found each other. And for the first time in years, I felt something shift inside me. Not hope in my son, but strength in myself. I whispered, no more waiting. The words tasted like freedom, and as I held Daniel close, I knew this was only the beginning, because the years of waiting had ended, but the fight for truth was just starting. No more waiting. That's what I had whispered as I held Daniel close, but I didn't know that the end of waiting was only the beginning of knowing, and the truth he carried inside him would break me even more than the silence of all those years. Daniel pulled away, his eyes red but steady. He reached into his pocket again, slower this time, as if what he carried weighed more than gold. He set a folded paper on the table. I frowned. What is this? He pushed it toward me. It's my birth certificate. I opened it with shaking hands. There was his name, Daniel, and beneath it, in the space marked Father, was my son's full name. Clear, undeniable. No rumors, no mistakes, no excuses. Proof written in black ink. I whispered. He knew. He knew all along. Daniel nodded. Yes. He signed it. He promised my mom he'd be there, but after I was born, he left. He gave her money for a few months, then nothing. No visits, no calls, not even on my birthdays. My chest tightened. I thought of the way my son avoided questions about his life, how he brushed me off when I asked about marriage or children. He always said, "Not yet, Mama. Not yet." All those times, he was lying. I stared at Daniel. And your mother? Where is she now? His voice cracked. She passed away last year. Cancer. She fought hard, but she didn't make it. Before she died, she told me, "Find your grandmother. She's the only family who might care." My throat closed. I covered my mouth, fighting tears. This boy, who should have grown up surrounded by love, had been carrying grief so heavy it bent his shoulders. And my son, left him to face it alone. I said, "How could he do this to you? To her? To me?" Daniel's hands clenched into fists. He was selfish. My mom told me he cared more about his image than about us. He said having me would ruin his future, so he erased us. The words cut like knives. All the years I had broken my back to build his future, and this was how he used it, by erasing his own blood. I slammed my hand on the table. I raised him better than this. I taught him to never abandon family. I taught him love. And this is what he became? Daniel's eyes filled again. I used to hate him. Then I tried to forgive him. but the hate kept coming back. I don't know how to carry it anymore. I walked to the kitchen, pacing, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Betrayal had always been a wound I carried. My husband leaving, my neighbors laughing, my son ignoring me. But this was betrayal sharpened to its cruelest edge. I remembered how I used to sit on the porch, waiting for my son to visit. I imagined him busy at work, important, respected. But the truth was different. While I waited, he was building lies. While I cooked meals that went cold, he was walking away from a woman who loved him and a child who needed him. The truth sank like a stone in my chest. My sacrifices had not built a man. They had built a coward. I turned back to Daniel. You deserved a father. You deserved birthdays, hugs, stories at night. You deserved someone who showed up. Instead, he made you invisible. Daniel's voice broke. Sometimes, I wondered if I was invisible to the whole world. I sat beside him, tears streaming down my face. Not to me. Never to me. For a moment, we sat in silence. The weight of truth pressed down, but so did a strange new bond. The bond of two broken souls finally meeting. Then Daniel said something that stopped my heart. Do you want to see her? I blinked. See who? He pulled out another photo. This one was worn, corners bent, the colors fading. It showed a young woman with tired eyes but a gentle smile. She was holding baby Daniel, wrapped in a blanket. This was my mom, he said softly. I held the picture like it was sacred. The woman who had loved my grandson, who had carried the weight I should have carried, who had died alone while I lived in ignorance. I whispered, she should have been family. She should have been mine too. Daniel's voice trembled. She used to tell me about you. She said you worked hard. She said if anyone would love me, it would be you. That's why she told me to find you. Those words shattered me. Even in her pain, she had seen me. She had trusted me to love him when my own son would not. I pressed the photo to my chest. I wish I had known her. I wish I had been there. Daniel whispered. She wished that too. The guilt hit me like a storm. I wasn't just grieving my son's betrayal. I was grieving the years stolen from me, the years I could have loved this boy, the years I could have supported his mother, the years I could have been more than just a shadow in his story. I felt my knees weaken. I sank to the floor, sobbing. Why didn't he tell me? Why did he keep me blind? Daniel knelt beside me, his hand on my shoulder. Because he knew you would love me. He knew you would take me in. And maybe he didn't want that. Maybe he didn't want us to have each other. The cruelty of that truth crushed me. My son, the boy I had raised, the boy I had starved for, the boy I had defended, had not only abandoned his child but had stolen my chance to be a grandmother. I looked Daniel in the eye. He took everything from us, but he won't take this moment. He won't take you from me. Daniel's lip trembled. Do you mean that? I gripped his hand with all my heart. The truth had broken me, but it had also woken me. For years I lived in blindness, in waiting, in lies. Now I saw everything clearly, and what I saw was this. My son might have abandoned his child, but I would not. I stood, wiping my tears. Daniel, from today, you're not alone. You have me, and I won't hide you. Not for him, not for anyone. Daniel's face crumbled, and he fell into my arms. His sobs filled the room, and mine joined his. The truth hurt. It burned. It shattered every dream I had of the son I thought I raised, but it also gave me something new. It gave me Daniel. It gave me a chance to break the cycle of waiting and abandonment. And as I held him, I whispered again, this time louder, stronger, no more waiting. Because now there was no need to wait. The truth had found me, and with it, a new purpose. But I knew this truth was only the beginning. If my son thought he could silence me, if he thought he could erase his mistakes, he was wrong. Because the truth had a voice now, my voice, and I was ready to use it. I had just promised Daniel that he would never be alone again. I thought the worst was over, but life has a way of twisting the knife right when you start to breathe again. That night, as the house grew quiet and Daniel finally drifted to sleep on the couch, my phone rang. It was a number I knew by heart, even though I wished I could forget it. My son. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. For a moment, I thought about letting it ring, about turning away. But something inside me burned. I wanted answers. I wanted him to hear the pain he had caused, so I picked up. His voice came sharp, almost annoyed. "Why is he there with you?" My chest tightened. He didn't even say hello. No warmth, no shame, just anger. I said, "So you do know. You knew exactly who he was, didn't you?" There was silence, then a bitter laugh. "Don't start, Mama. This isn't your business." My blood boiled. Not my business. He's my grandson. He came to me broken, abandoned, and you. How dare you say it's not my business? He snapped. "I told that woman to keep her mouth shut. She promised she wouldn't run to you with lies." His words cut like glass. Lies? Is his birth certificate a lie? Is the pain in his eyes a lie? He raised his voice. "I built my life to escape this. I worked hard, and I won't let you or him drag me back. I don't owe him anything." I slammed my fist on the table. "You owe him everything. You owe him the love you stole, the years you erased, the father he never had. You owe me the truth. Do you hear me? You owe me." For the first time he hesitated. His breath shook through the line. Then he whispered, "I didn't want him. I never wanted him." Those words, they broke me. They shattered the image of the boy I raised, the man I thought he was. Tears streamed down my face as I whispered, "You didn't want him? Then what about me? Did you ever want me? Did you ever me?" He didn't answer. I pressed on, my voice raw. "All those years, I worked my fingers to the bone for you. I gave up food so you could eat. I gave up my dreams so you could chase yours. And this is who you became? A man who abandons his own blood? A man who lies to his mother?" Finally, he said coldly, "You wouldn't understand. You never will." I almost dropped the phone. That tone, distant, cruel. It wasn't my son. It was a stranger wearing his voice. I whispered, "Daniel deserves better. And so did his mother. She believed you. She trusted you. And you left her to die alone." He snapped again. "Stop it. Don't bring her into this. She was weak. She knew the deal." Rage surged through me. "Weak? She carried your child while you ran. She faced sickness while you lived free. She was strong, stronger than you will ever be." Daniel stirred on the couch, his eyes half open, watching me. I turned away, not wanting him to hear, but he rose slowly, listening. My son's voice grew louder. "If you let him stay, if you claim him, then don't call me your son anymore. Do you hear me? Don't ever call me again." The silence after those words was louder than any scream. My own son was cutting me off, throwing me away like I was nothing. I whispered, "If choosing him means losing you, then so be it, because at least he still has a heart. At least he still knows how to love." And then I hung up. The phone slipped from my hand and crashed to the floor. My knees gave out, and I sank onto the cold tiles, shaking. Daniel came to me, his face pale. "Was that him?" I nodded, unable to speak. He crouched beside me, his voice trembling. "What did he say?" I looked at him, my lips trembling. "He doesn't want you. He doesn't even want me." Daniel's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't cry. He just clenched his jaw, staring at the wall like it could hold back the pain. Then he whispered, "I'm sorry." I grabbed his hands. "No, Daniel, don't you ever apologize for existing. He failed you. He failed both of us. But you—" My voice cracked. "You are not a mistake. You are not a burden. You are my blood, my heart. Don't you ever forget that." Daniel's voice broke. "Then why does it hurt so much?" I pulled him into my arms. "Because you still hoped. Because even when you hate him, a part of you still wanted him to choose you. That's what love does. It makes the wound deeper. He sobbed against me, and I rocked him like I used to rock my son when he was small. Except now, I was rocking away years of betrayal, not just nightmares. That call didn't just break me. It broke Daniel too. It broke the fragile dream that maybe, somehow, my son would step up and be a father. But as I held Daniel, I realized something. Maybe that call wasn't the end. Maybe it was the start of something new, a new family, a new bond, a new strength. Still, the pain was unbearable. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, hearing his voice in my head. Don't call me your son anymore. Those words tore at me. I had lived for him. Every breath, every sacrifice, every prayer was for him. And now he had thrown me away. But maybe that was the lesson. Maybe I had lived too long waiting for the wrong son. Maybe my true purpose wasn't to save him anymore. Maybe it was to save Daniel. When the sun rose, I sat with Daniel at the table. His eyes were swollen, his hands shaking around his cup. I said, "We're going to be okay. You and me. We'll take the broken pieces and build something new." He looked at me, doubt heavy in his eyes. "Do you really believe that?" I reached across the table, holding his hand. "Yes, because I refuse to let his cruelty define us. We will not be his shadows. We will not live in his lies. We will live in truth." Daniel whispered, "And if he comes back?" I shook my head. "If he comes back, he'll face us together, and this time, he won't break us." The call had broken me, but it had also set me free. For the first time in years, I saw clearly. My son had chosen his pride, his lies, his selfishness, but I had chosen love. I had chosen Daniel. And in that choice, I found a strength I never knew I had. Still, deep inside, the wound remained. A mother never stops hoping, even when hope is poison. A mother never stops hearing her child's voice, even when it cuts her to pieces. But I knew this much. The story wasn't over. Because sometimes the call that breaks you is also the call that wakes you. After that call, the house felt different. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore, it was heavy, pressing on our chests like a weight we couldn't push off. My son's words kept echoing in my head. "Don't call me your son anymore." But no matter how many times I replayed them, one truth stood firm inside me. Blood never lies. You can run, you can deny, you can cut ties, but the bond remains. And the deeper you try to bury it, the louder it claws its way back to the surface. I sat across from Daniel at the table, his hands wrapped around his mug, but he hadn't taken a sip. His eyes were lost, staring into a place I couldn't reach. Finally, he spoke. Why did he hate me before he even knew me? My throat tightened. "He doesn't hate you, Daniel. He hates himself. He hates the reflection of what he abandoned." Daniel shook his head. "He told you I wasn't wanted. You heard him." I closed my eyes. Yes, I heard, but I don't accept it, because I know better. A child never asks to be born, and the moment he came into this world, you were worthy of love. Nothing changes that. Daniel's lips trembled. Then why do I feel like trash? Like I'm just proof of his shame? I reached for his hand. Because that's what he wants you to feel. If you believe that lie, he doesn't have to face his truth. Daniel pulled away, standing suddenly, his voice cracked. "I look like him, don't I? I see it in your face every time you look at me. You see him." I rose too, my voice sharp. "No, I see you. I see a boy who lost his mother too soon, a boy who was denied a father's arms, a boy who still has the courage to stand here and ask why. That's who I see." His eyes filled and he whispered, "But blood doesn't lie, right? If I'm his son, maybe I'll become him too." That stabbed me. I shook my head fiercely. "Listen to me, Daniel. Blood may carry traits, but it doesn't carry choices. His choice. His are his alone. Yours are yours. You are not him. You will never be him." He sank back into the chair, covering his face. I wanted to ease his pain, but I knew words alone weren't enough. Proof. He needed proof that blood isn't just betrayal. It can also be loyalty, sacrifice, and love. That night, I pulled out an old box from the top of my closet. Inside were letters, photos, fragments of a life I had tucked away. Pictures of my son as a child, drawings he made me in school, and one photo of him holding Daniel as a newborn. I carried the box to the table. Daniel looked at me with suspicion. "What's that?" I set it down. The truth. Pieces of it, at least. He hesitated, then opened it. His fingers shook as he picked up the photo. His eyes widened. "That's him. And that's me?" I nodded, tears burning my eyes. "Yes. For one moment, he held you. For one moment, he looked at you. Don't let him pretend it never happened. Blood doesn't lie." Daniel traced the photo, his lips trembling. "He looks happy." I whispered. He was. He just buried it. He wanted freedom, more than family, and he convinced himself it was the only way. But this picture proves something he can never erase. That you are his son. Daniel stared, then clenched the photo in his hand. "If he's ashamed of me, then I'll make him face it. I'll make him look at me and admit what he did." My stomach twisted. "Daniel, be careful. His pride is dangerous. He'll lash out." Daniel's eyes hardened. "So what? He already broke me. He already broke you. What more can he do?" The anger in his voice scared me, but I couldn't blame him. Pain often turns into rage when there's nowhere else for it to go. The next day, Daniel vanished. He left early without a word. My heart raced when I saw his empty bed. I called his phone again and again, but no answer. By evening, I heard the front gate slam. Daniel walked in, his jaw tight, his knuckles scraped raw. I rushed to him. "Where were you? What happened?" He dropped onto the couch, avoiding my eyes. "I went to see him." My stomach dropped. "You what?"